Hello and welcome. This is Tips for the Transition, the Career Roadmap, and I'm Maria Tomás-Keegan. I created this show now 6 seasons ago, and I created it to share resources to help women navigate life and career challenges and to know they're not alone. Each week, I invite a guest to join me so we can co create a show to encourage women to be more confident, resilient, and brave in their lives and in their careers. So, if you are inspired by something that you hear today and you want more of the same, I invite you to subscribe to our channel, comment, and share it. And be sure to check out the show notes below because I offer lots of ways to connect with my guest and me. So, question for you. Have you ever felt stuck? It feels like you don't know how you got here or where you're headed. Things might be changing all around you, but you don't know how to feel about it and you don't know what to do about it. Stuck. So we're going to talk about that today with Shira Ali because she found a unique way to think about being stuck and created a powerful formula for getting herself moving again. And she's going to share that with us today. Shira is the What's Next Strategist, and she's had a successful 20-year track record in high pressure, high stakes corporate real estate and property management industries. She's held leadership positions that honed her skills in talent development, helping individuals navigate their career paths and achieve their professional aspirations. Shira now empowers women to answer the question, what's next? She developed a proprietary method called the C5 method, and we're going to hear more about that in a moment. She provides her clients clear paths to unlock their potential and confidently move forward, gaining momentum toward their goals. So, whether you are contemplating a career change, want to advance in your current role, or you want to explore totally new opportunities, we're going to share Shira's formula to help you do it confidently and purposefully. So let us welcome Shira.
Oh my
Hello.
goodness. Hello. That was amazing. One of the best intros I've had. I love it. Love it. Thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome. You're very welcome. I'm really happy to have you here. And I want to just get started by digging in a little bit, as I often do with my guests, to get a little backstory. What inspired you to focus on empowering women to achieve their goals and navigate transitions? You and I have very similar missions in our lives. So I'd love to hear what inspired you to do that.
I think many times it starts at home, right? It starts with you first. You are your first case study.
Right.
As you are navigating and trying something new, and you realize you go through those pitfalls and you realize that there has to be a better way, right? There has to be a better way to do this. So that's where it started for me. It started where I was looking to make some changes, and I have goals, we do. And I I thought to myself, like I said, there has to be another way to do that. I looked at the areas that were holding me back. Really started, I'm a huge personal development person. If they say anything that you nerd out about, that definitely personal development would be one for me. I had to look at, as I said, those things that were holding me back. Why wasn't I making the progress? It's not that I don't have what it takes to do certain things. It's just that it was here. It was the mindset piece. A lot of those things that I was telling myself, right? And then when you start doing that, you start second guessing yourself. You start to hit the judgment, right? The judgment. You start to think, well, now you're judging yourself. You start to think, like, fear comes up, and that little voice, they talk about that voice that it's like it whispers to you, I don't know if you could do that. I don't know. And then it's screaming at you. It gets louder and louder, right?
Right.
And it just keeps you, as you said, stuck, because you're internally dealing with all of this noise. And really, to quiet that down, I had to look at, okay, what is the way I can look at this in a more systematic approach?
Mm.
In my career, I've managed working for the large ownership groups, right? The REITs and all of those things, and there's a system to everything. So I looked at it and said, what do I need? What do I really need to put this plan together? And that's how I came up with the C5 method. But it all starts here first, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It does all start there. I think we all have stories similar to that. We had to figure things out for ourselves, and we thought we were all alone and nobody else had the same problem that we do, right? And
That's a big one.
yes. So, and that is so not true. That is so not true. It's one of the missions I have with this podcast. As I said in the introduction, I want women to know they're not alone, that many of us struggle with the same kinds of things. So it's so good to hear you share your story. Thank you for being so transparent about the struggles that you had and how you
Mm-hmm.
had to figure out how, and for you, it had to be a systematic way because that's
Mm-hmm.
what you resonated with, right? For you.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
and we're going to get to that in a little bit, but let's talk about your experience, your personal experience, perhaps, and with your clients. Uh, let's talk about the unique strengths and the qualities that women bring to the table when we're setting goals, uh, looking to achieve those goals, and perhaps navigating significant changes in our lives. What are some of those unique strengths and qualities we bring?
So, as women, the first one I'm going to say is our intuition. Our intuition as women is so strong and usually so right that you should not ignore it. So, when I say that, and think about your intuition, your emotional intelligence, we often know, we often feel it first. So, as women, I believe we need to look at and listen to that more, lean into that more, because a lot of times when you're setting a goal, you say, I have a goal to do X. And that goal, is it really that you have the goal to do that, or is it that you want the thing on the other end? So really think about, when you set those goals, what is it about this that is really exciting me? What about this is something that I want to do? I many times have conversations with women who are already on a path, right? One that really stands out to me is and I'm going to get back on track. But one of the stories that I can share that really stands out is having a conversation with a young lady who had just completed her PhD program and was she came because she was struggling with some confidence. When we got down to the meat and the potatoes of it, it wasn't confidence. It was that she was going on a path that she really didn't feel good about. And her intuition was telling her this, but she stifled it and she kept moving forward. We did some work together, and I know that a few months ago she sent me a message, a beautiful note actually, saying that the time that we spent together really helped her to look deeper at what it is that she wanted, right? Really to let that speak, and let that speak louder than all of the voices and all the doubts and all of those things. So intuition, that's a huge one. As women, our ability to have empathy and connect with other people. Women, we are such great collaborators. Look at this, Maria and I here today, right? Women, we love to collaborate. We love to, how can I help you? We're naturally that way, right? And I think our determination and our persistence, we are going to stop at nothing We have a goal, we're stopping at nothing until we achieve that and we move forward towards it. Now, the challenge is there are dark sides to these things, because you look at your determination and your persistence as an example, and you look at, okay, there's a dark side to that, because then I see women who are constantly working, constantly nonstop. And it's a lot of that plays into some perfectionism, some all of those other things. But there are dark sides to those as well. Empathy, connection. When we think about that, think about how we are. If someone comes to me with a problem, I'll drop it. I'm gonna help them. I'm gonna take that time. So we have to look at balance, having those boundaries and really having that balance. I host a meetup group, and the topic that we had for this month was really how to increase your capacity and bandwidth while you're moving toward your goals. And it really falls in line with the connection piece, because a lot of times that is what will detract from and take away from our capacity and our bandwidth. So those are the strengths I think I know, not I think, I
Yeah.
know that women have, right?
Yeah. And just to be fair, it's not that men don't have these
Of
things.
course not.
Of
Of
course they
course.
do, right? But we have, I think, as women, a kind of we have some special sauce that we sprinkle on our intuition and how we use it and how we rely on it if we are in touch with it, right? So,
We're trusting,
yeah, just
trusting it, right?
trusting it. That's right. Trusting that there is an inner knowing and it's speaking to us. Sometimes it's in a very small whisper, and we have to really pay attention.
I
It's
would
not
love, oh, sorry.
it's not often one of those screaming voices that you mentioned, right? Our intuition is usually a softer. Yeah, until it's tried to speak to us several times and then it's a hammer on the head,
Right,
right?
right,
Right.
right. Absolutely. It's a quieter voice, but I wanted to add something there when we talk about the intuition. This plays a lot into, as we go through transition, we always want to ask the other person, how did you do? How did you do this? What did you do? They want the formula, right? But as we know, there's no formula unless you lived my life from 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 baby to now exactly. You're not going to get the exact results. So
Right.
when we talk about that intuition and trusting that you know trusting that you don't always have to, hey, calling your friends, calling your mom, calling everyone, getting their input, it becomes overwhelming, especially as you're making a transition, right? Would you
Right.
say?
Right. It's not that we don't need input and feedback, but knowing that you know what's best for you, trusting that,
Yes.
ultimately, you're going to take all this information in and you're going to, some of us analyze it depending on how we think, right? We're going to consider it. We're going to do our due diligence and then we're going to sit with it and make an informed decision based on what feels right to us,
Right.
right? And there are a lot of things that come into play there in that consideration process. I want to get back to the challenges in a second, but let's stay on this path for a moment. The kinds of things that let's talk about that. What do you think? What are the kinds of things that come into our consideration when we are learning to trust our intuition?
I think one of the big ones is remembering and thinking, these are, I say, the old rules, that you were given when you were a little girl, right? And your mom told you have to work, you have to do these things, right? And you're still playing by those rules, but the game has changed now, right? This is a new game. Those rules are out of the window in many cases. This is your opportunity to rewrite
Right.
those rules for yourself and make sure that they are rules and they are beliefs and all of those things that really resonate with you today. So I think that is a huge one that
Yeah.
I see. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think you're so right. Knowing what you believe today and not playing by, in your words, the old rules, but not playing by what other people expect of you,
Ah.
right? What other
Mm,
people, compromising your own values for the sake
mm,
of keeping the peace, people pleasing. And we're getting into some of the challenges now, right? This is all very interconnected, this conversation.
yes, yes.
But yeah, I think the consideration piece is knowing what you value most when you're making decisions and tapping into your intuition, knowing what you value most, what you value most,
Right,
not what
right.
someone else has taught you to value, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's
Yeah.
why I love to start with that piece as you talk about values. Many times women have not taken the opportunity. They know that intuition comes back. They know this doesn't feel right. They know, oh, I'm not feeling good about this. When you take a closer look at it, it's usually tied because it's misaligned with your values, right? It's
Right.
not, and that there's going to be a challenge there.
Right.
Anytime that there's a misalignment there, there's going to be a challenge. So really digging into that piece and seeing what about this is making me uncomfortable. If you spell it out, values are associated in most cases.
Yep. Yep. Beliefs, fears, and values are the three
Mm,
things that I find in my experience and with my clients are it's one or more of those
mm,
things that are the obstacle, the roadblock, the challenge that can keep us stuck because we're not in alignment with those things as we are today, right? Not who we
mhm.
used to be, but
Right,
who we are being today and who we are becoming.
right,
Yeah.
right.
Okay, so let's talk about some of the obstacles the challenges that are most common when women are navigating these changes in our lives that happen so often. It's like it
Right,
feels like daily.
right.
It
No,
feels
one
like
of the principles that, I've heard is the only constant is change. So it
that's
is
right.
daily. That's the only
It's
constant.
it is a law of life. It is probably the first law of life.
It
Nothing
is.
stays the same. That's right. So,
And us accepting
baby, you
that.
better get used to it.
Right. Right, right.
Right.
So
Right.
challenges, as we talk about challenges, for me, the number one, and I'll be honest, this is something I've struggled with, the confidence piece,
Mm,
believing that I can.
yep.
You will see someone, you may look at me, Maria, and you may say, Shira, I see this light, I see something, right? And if I don't believe it, you can tell me that
Right.
all day long. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter until I have accepted it, believe it, take it in, and I'm able to move forward with that. I shouldn't say it means nothing. I love you and I thank you for the compliment, right? But really understanding and having that belief. So the confidence, that is, I believe the confidence, like if we were doing a mind map, I think that would be in the middle.
Okay. So, but to get to that point of having confidence, it's not a switch we flip.
No, no.
There's a process in developing that confidence, and it starts with believing that you are of value, right? That you are smarter than you think, braver than you believe, right? What is that? That this is a wonderful. I'm paraphrasing from Winnie the Pooh. It's one of my favorite quotes, and I obviously can't get it all out because I am trying to. But believing in yourself, and I've had someone tell me this before. Let me ask you what you think about this. Someone has said to me, if you don't believe it yet, use my firm belief in you
Mm.
as yours until you do.
Mm.
So I've struggled with that, honestly. It's like, well, how do I do that? It's just a matter of choosing to, right? Well, if he or she believes so much in me, I must be able to. I must be able to. So I'm gonna take that belief as mine until I can own it. What do you think of that?
That's a bit. I'm still processing it, but I see the challenge there
Yeah.
with that. That's a little. It's not. I see where it's going, but I don't know if I don't necessarily resonate because I know that I need to take the
Yeah.
steps,
So
right?
it depends on who we are, right?
Right,
Whether we can take someone else's deep belief in us and wear it
right,
ourselves until it
right,
becomes ours, right? That's really the concept here. Some people can do it easily, and I think it's situational. So when it was first said to me, I struggled with how to do that. And then I played with it. And by talking to myself, right? Having these conversations. Well, if she believes that much
mm,
that this is something that I can do, why not? Why not? Why? And the more I spoke to myself like that, the more I started trusting that she could be right. She sees something I don't see. So it gave me courage
yes,
to try it. So
mm-hmm,
I leave that for those of our people in our audience who might want to try that,
right,
because it it is situational. It has
mm-hmm,
worked for me, and then
mm-hmm,
there are times when it has not. But
mm-hmm.
try it. If you don't believe
Yeah,
in yourself, take somebody else's belief in you and wear it like a cloak for a while and see what happens.
right, right. I love that you brought in that courage piece though,
Yeah.
because the courage, that is it's the prelude to the confidence, correct? That's what I
Oh yeah.
see it as,
Oh yeah.
right?
Because
Because
it's
that's
not
how you
until
build it.
That's right. It's not until we do something that we're confident we can, right?
Absolutely.
So,
That's exactly right.
right?
Yes.
So we gotta trust ourselves enough to put one foot in front of the other and take some inspired action toward whatever that goal is that you've never done before, and you're questioning yourself. There's a lot of self-doubt, whether you've got what it takes, but until you try, nothing changes.
Right. Right. Yeah, you need that. What's the quote? I love quotes, and
Me
I have
too.
so many in my head.
I know.
But it's that fear. It's the quote about fear, right? Action. It's I can't remember it. I'm not going to butcher
Well,
it,
there's
but it's
there's one by Susan Jeffers, which is feel the fear and do it anyway.
that's something. Yes.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah. It's by the way, a great book by
Hmm.
Susan Jeffers. Feel the fear and do it anyway.
Do it anyway. We
Yeah,
have to, and it's
you got to
okay.
take
We
the
need
action. Yeah,
the action, the uncomfort that we sit with. We have to become. I shouldn't say have to work on becoming more comfortable with the uncomfortable.
yeah, 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 yeah. That comfort zone conversation that many of us struggle with. Yeah.
Hmm.
All
Hmm.
right. So, what are some of the other challenges?
I think if we have the confidence here, the challenge is I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough, right? All of those things go under there. Fear, right? You spoke about fear. This is something new. You're not going to know. We need to normalize that. This is the first time you're doing X, it's normal to be uncomfortable, to have fear, but I will say fear, it limits your options. So when you think about fear, that is one that limiting your options right away.
When you give into it, absolutely right.
Hmm.
It limits your options, right? You can't see beyond it many times, right?
Right.
You
You
let the
can't.
fear overshadow what the possibilities are because you're afraid to step into them.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. 100%. And then I would say the self-talk, negative
Mm.
self-talk.
Yeah.
That's a huge one. And I have a friend that shared with me. There's a Japanese researcher. I don't know if you've heard this. He did a study where he spoke to water. He spoke to water very kind, right? Very kind. And the water crystallized in like beautiful. I mean, if you see this, you can look it up, Google it. Beautiful, like, oh, beautiful shapes. He spoke to the water and said evil and mean things to the water, right? And the water it just, oh, it just looked scary. It looked scary, right? But think about that. If water responds that way, and there are photos of it so you can see it. If water responds that way, how do you think you as a person, you as a woman, how do you think that your body is responding when you're saying, I can't do this, I'm stupid, I don't know enough, all the judgment, all the things, all the negative self-talk?
Mm.
How do you think that your body is responding? That just really, I love um to see it firsthand. Maria, I would love for you to look this up after this. When you see this, it's really going to make it, put it in perspective. When you think about, oh, negative self-talk, right? Oh, okay. But when you think about
Yeah.
the impact that it has on you,
Yeah.
it's serious.
Well, if you notice, if you start, this is an exercise I do with my clients. If you start to notice the all of the negative things that you say to yourself in the privacy of your own mind and heart, right? What are those things? Write them down. Just the simplest things, right? You might drop something in the kitchen and say, "Oh, silly girl or stupid girl. Why did you do that?"
Mm,
Negative self-talk. It
mhm,
happens. It's very common. It happens all the time. And until we become really aware of
mhm.
what we're saying to ourselves, it's hard to change it. And we can talk all day long about uh, improving your negative self-talk and changing it to be more positive until you recognize that you're doing it and what it is you're saying. It's difficult to change. It's impossible to change. So that's the first
Absolutely.
thing. Just being aware of what are those things that you're saying to yourself. And the common ones are you've already mentioned them. It's like I'm not worthy, I'm not smart enough,
Mhm,
I'm not financially sound enough. So many things.
mhm, mhm.
And when we focus on those things, we perpetuate those things. We bring more of those things into our world because that's what we're focused on.
Right.
So, all right. So let's talk about. I want you to run through your C5 method because we've talked about
Yes.
that a few times. There are 5 C's that you're.
Yes.
Okay. So what are those? Let's get through those.
Yeah. So the first thing we start with is clarity,
Okay.
right? So it's clarity. Then we're going to go to competence. Then we're going to go to courage. confidence, and community. So we talked a little bit about earlier, we talked about values, right? So this is under the clarity piece. What is it that I really want? Many times I have conversations with women, and when I say what do you want? They it's hard for them to express what they want. What is important? They're still holding on a lot of times, many times, on what they should do, and this is what is expected of them. So that's why we have this clarity, and I have an assessment and all of those things that we work through, right, to make sure that we have that clarity, values assessments, a great energy assessment that's going to let us know in black and white where you are as far as it relates to your transition, and where we may need to look at some adjustments. And then the next piece that we're going to go to is competence, and this one is so important because this plays into a lot of the things that you hear women talk about. I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, all of these things, right? So if this is your goal, what do we need in order to make you bring you your competence level to that stage? And this was very important for me because I spent so much time, I'm going to be so honest here. I spent so much time and money in focusing on just taking in information. I love to learn, so that's one thing I have there. But also, am I smart enough? Thinking about, am I smart enough to do this? And when you don't know or don't think you're smart enough, you spend so much time trying to gather information. You're just taking in. But when are you implementing? When are you putting that into action? You kind of get stuck in that competence phase. So that's why I thought that was a very important piece to build in, so that okay, we've checked the boxes here. Now we can move on, right? And you don't get stuck in that cycle. And then we're going to move on to courage, right? The third C. Courage, as I said, is the prelude to the confidence. If you don't we work on the things that we need to do, it's for you to take courage. It's for you to have the courage to take those first steps, have the courage to ask for what you, even something so. Just had a young lady who shared she had her in her office, had her desk moved. That took a lot of courage for her to speak up, because she had to find that voice to do that. So that's the courage piece. And then the confidence piece. What do we need to do to continue to build that confidence, right? So that you know that this is sustainable, right? And then we move into the community piece, and having a supportive system there that is there for you to bounce ideas off of. One of the things I look forward to every month as part of my community is my call. We have a once a month call. I have my business bestie. We've been doing this for a few years now. And building those people in your world. I'm not saying it's, maybe it's an ecosystem. It's not just one group, but having those people that are there to support you, champion you, who are there to also call you out and say, hey, you said you were going to do this. Why are you not doing it? Bounce ideas off of, laugh, cry, all of the things, right? I think those things are so important for women. We need this. We may not need them all at the same time, but in various stages, you need a piece, one of those things, right?
I love that you called it an ecosystem, because that is such a great way to explain how if you are in the center, right? You are some people say you're the CEO of your life, right? I say you're in the driver's seat, and you've got the wheel, and you've got these, if you are allowing yourself, right, to be supported. You've got a variety of people and or groups that support you for different reasons. So you called it an ecosystem. I call it your personal board of directors. These are people whom you trust, will tell you the truth. And this community piece is so, you have it last in your group of 5. It could so easily be first. And it's tied to every single one of these elements of your C5 method. So I want to go through them just slowly and carefully one more time. It starts with clarity, so getting really clear about what it is you want. Competence, competence, believing that you got what it takes to do it. Having the courage, right, to take the leap or the baby steps.
Mm-hmm.
And that instills in you the confidence. And if you could do that, why can't you do this?
Mm-hmm.
And that builds your confidence. And then the community is overarching and sprinkled throughout all of this.
So critical. So
Yeah,
critical.
it is.
Yeah. Yeah, it
Yeah,
is. And I would like to add one more thing about the community piece as well.
sure.
I encourage people, the clients I work with and other women, that when you're building your community, that you look outside of that comfort zone, the people
Mm,
that are in your net. For me, I had only networked with people in real estate, right?
yes.
All the only conferences I'd been to were real estate conferences where I'm speaking to other people who get it, right? Who I
Yeah,
say get it, right? But as you go out there, last year was the first time I attended a conference with entrepreneurs that were from the tech industry, from no, I think I was the only real estate, a couple of real estate people, couple. And that's where I went to feel safe. But really expanding
yeah,
your horizon in that area is going to be so key, because you get so many different perspectives and
yes,
just yes, right,
yeah,
you're looking at it through some different lenses. So
that's
i
right.
did i did want to add that when we think about community.
Yes, that's such a good piece of advice because when you surround yourself with only the people who your who are your best friends, right? You've already got their perspective, right? You already know what it is. You're not learning anything new. You're not being stretched to think about things differently.
Mm,
I run a mastermind for every twice a month, and the women are come from a variety of industries. They're all professional women, and they are looking for more. They're not necessarily looking to change jobs or shift careers, but they're looking for more.
mhm.
And when we get together, my heavens, the sparks start to fly, the ideas are golden nuggets of wisdom, and it's inspiring to be among this group of women. And then they bring their ideas. We do peer coaching and we do professional coaching in those groups. But it's the idea of fresh perspectives that stretch us, that cause us to say, huh, I never thought about that. I wonder if,
Right,
right?
right. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So you get it.
important. It's important. Yeah.
Yeah.
Community is really what it we're not meant to do this life stuff alone.
Mhm.
No. Okay, let's talk about some mindset shifts that women can make now to enhance their confidence and maybe their resilience. We haven't talked about that word yet, but that ability to bounce back when they're considering a change, when they're in the midst of a change. Um, yeah, what kind of shifts do they need to make?
Maria, we need to go back to, for me to answer this question.
Okay.
I believe it's back to us. The mindset shifts, the inner shifts that we need to make is really how we are approaching the question. Think about when we say we're in a challenging situation, right? Doing something that's challenging. My That brings about a certain amount of stress, right?
Mhm.
And then we may start to tell ourselves things. I don't know if I can do this. This is hard, right? Looking at asking yourself questions that are going to empower you. What opportunities are here for me? That can change something that's so, I mean, in a big way. Asking yourselves questions to say, okay, well, what choice? I'm in this situation, but what choices do I have in this situation? What do I have control over? So really looking at the way that we approach, even today, for example, it was a rainy day here and I'm looking at it outside and I'm saying, okay, yeah, it's a rainy day. But as I'm going through this, what can I see? What opportunities are here? Why does it always have to be that this is doom and gloom today because of that, right? So as you're making and thinking about going through your you're a transition, you're leaving your 9 to 5, you're going to start a business now, right? Or you're going to take on you're going to move to a leadership role. When that stress comes, look and start thinking about how you're posing questions, what you're saying to yourself. Because this up here, your brain, it's a computer. And what you're typing in when you're saying those things, that's what you're going to get out. Right? So if you're typing in, I can't, okay, shut off. Right? When you type in, what opportunities are here for me? What can I do? At leaving it open, that's going to expand your thinking, and that's where you're going to see the change. So if I have to say that that would be one of the most important shifts that we can make, is how we speak to ourselves, the questions that we ask ourselves, and opening up and asking ourselves more empowering questions.
I love that. Asking ourselves more empowering questions. So, shifting from the negative to the positive, kind of opening the aperture so
Hmm.
that we don't have tunnel vision anymore. We now have a broader view of the field out there and looking to see, so what are those opportunities for me?
Right.
Yeah.
What, doesn't that feel good when you feel like you have a choice?
It does. That's such a good word. It's a word I love. We all have choices. Every single minute of every day, we
Hmm.
have choices to make. And the choices we make influence where we are today, right? The
Hmm.
choices we've made in the past are what got us here. If we don't like
Hmm.
where we are, we have to make different choices, right?
Choices,
It's
right?
it's pretty simple. It's a pretty simple statement. If we don't like where we are, we have to make a different choice. How do you make that choice? How do you inform yourself about the options so that you can make a different choice? And that's the perspective piece, right?
Right.
And the more people you talk to that you trust, right? The people who can be on your board of directors, they can be a mentor of mine calls it the front row. And, you're on stage in the theater and your people are in the front row cheering you on, right? It's in another friend of mine calls it your first class cabin. One of my clients calls it your band of angels. Whatever you call it, it's that community of people that Shira is talking about that
Hmm.
you surround yourself with, who make you better, who make you think, who help open the aperture for you.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yes. Yes. That feels good. I just feel better thinking about it that way,
Yeah.
right? Just feel
Yeah.
better.
Yeah. And it really is a mindset shift. It's all
Hmm.
how we think about it and what we say about it to
Hmm.
ourselves, to others. How do we describe that rainy day that, you guys on the East Coast have had a lot of rain lately?
Yeah. Yeah.
So how do you feel about that? What do you say about that? It's a rainy day. It's another rainy day.
Right.
Or, oh, I can't stand the rainy day.
Right.
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 It's a
You
big
don't feel
difference.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
don't feel good about that.
Yeah. I love
We
rainy
associate
days.
that.
I love
Yeah.
rainy days. Yeah. Mm. Okay.
Mm,
All right. So we need to wrap this up in a bow for our
yeah.
people. We need to bring this to a close. So I'd love for you to just help us with what are the key takeaways here from today, Shira, that women can maybe take one of these things and say, I can do that. What what would you say?
We're going back there. We're going to go back to thinking about how we are speaking to ourselves, thinking about how we are um, how we are empowering ourselves, right? We always look, oh, I'm going to empower another woman. How are we empowering ourselves? Questions that we're asking ourselves. And one task that I can, if, for those of us who like, and I'm saying us because I love action. What can I do? What can I do? So, one thing, and Maria, you alluded to something that you do with clients as well. When we think about what we're saying to ourselves and that awareness, start keeping a journal about your judgment journal. What are the things
Mm,
that you're saying there, right? What are the things,
yeah.
what am I judging? Am I judging myself? Am I judging others, right? And keeping a journal awareness there. And then I try to do this. I don't do it every night, but I try. Thinking about the things as we think about positive, what are the three top things for today that happened today? What were my highlights? Sometimes I do this at the morning, maybe you wake up and there's something that comes to mind. What are those, kind of like in that gratitude practice lane? What are those things that are really bringing me joy? Because we don't always want to
Mhm.
focus on that
Mhm.
I'm always judging people and I need to this and I'm working on this. What are the things that are bringing me joy? What am I excited
Mhm.
about at the moment? Right?
Love
What
that.
that I you have to have that balance. I'm so much about balance. So yes, we want to think about what we're saying, but also thinking about what's feeling good.
I love the way you put that because it's conjured an idea in my head that we have I'm going to just think that your journal has two columns on each page. One is the judgment side and the other is the joy
Mm.
side, right? The
Mm.
judgment and the joy, and knowing what it is you're saying. This is an awareness exercise, right?
Yes.
Knowing what it is you are saying to yourself, to others, about others. That's on the judgment side.
Mm-hmm.
And then what are the things that you are doing, saying, feeling that are on the joy side? So that
Mm-hmm.
you called it balance. I call it harmony. It is how we bring harmony into our lives by understanding, and not just by understanding who we are, but by deciding who we are. The more aware we are of all the judgments we make, and we all do it, as hard as I try to stop, I
Mm.
find myself doing it unconsciously. That's how it happens. Sometimes consciously. But when we become aware, then when we do it, we go, "Oh, did it again." Awareness. And when you are aware, you can control how much you do it, and how you do it, and where you do it. And for me, it becomes, how can I be kinder? That's the question I ask myself.
Mm-hmm.
How can I be kinder? And when I find that space, goes on the joy side.
Mm.
I love that. Judgment and joy. That's great.
Yes.
Yeah, I love the way you put that.
Yeah, what you in real estate we say what you monitor, you manage. So if you're really keeping that track, right? You're
Yeah.
managing it. Yeah.
Yeah. That's right. That's right. This has been a great conversation, Shira. I really appreciate your being here. I appreciate what you do, and I love that you've created this formula for people who
Mhm.
love formulas. Not
Mhm.
everybody does, but this is talking about your C5 method. When you dig into each of these five elements, They create a system that can be followed
Mhm.
on a daily basis.
Yeah.
I really love that. I think it's important for women to have that at the ready. So I'm gonna say this more than once, but you're gonna find some links to Shira in the show notes. So be sure to check in with her and get more about her C5 method if this formula idea is something that resonates with you. Shira, thank you so much for being here.
Oh, Maria, this has been a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
It is my pleasure. Now, I know that people are going to want to reach out to you, so this will be the first time they see a link for you. Tell us the very best way that people can reach out to you.
Definitely visit my website. It's here. Maria has graciously put it on the screen. And then also I'm a LinkedIn person. So come
Okay.
stop by LinkedIn. That's my platform of choice. I'm there. So I would love to see you there. And when you do visit the website, feel free to leave your information. That is the way I can send information to you. So if I'm
Great.
doing a meetup or anything, you can get that information.
That's great. And for those who are listening and not watching, Shira's website is Shira Ali and associates.com. So, and the link for that will be in the show notes as well. Again, Shira, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
And for those of you who are watching and listening, I really do appreciate that you're a part of this community. And if you enjoyed the episode, please subscribe, comment, share a star, click a star, share some comments with us. Let us know how you liked it. And again, as I said at the top of the show, I love creating resources for women. And this is just one of them. So, as a career and life coach, I work with women to help them navigate challenging times more quickly and hopefully more gracefully. So, if something in this episode resonates and you would like to continue the conversation, I invite you to join my private Facebook group called the Career Transition Roadmap. And the link for that is below, along with all of the other links to reach out to Shira and to me. So let's meet again here next Wednesday, as they say, same time, same place. Because you know what? I believe it's our time to thrive. So let's thrive together. Until next time, I'm Maria Tomás-Keegan, helping you turn transition into triumph.